Cinema Wellman. I'm your host, David, and 2 days from now, the 96th Annual Academy Awards / Oscars ceremony will be held in Hollywood. The Oscars are the annual ceremony that somehow attempts the impossible and tries to judge art. An academy of 10,500 people looks at several works of art and determines which one is best. So it's essentially a vote, election, popularity contest conducted by people who supposedly are experts at judging art. The concept is preposterous, and I love it, and I fall for it year after year after year, even though they get it wrong time after time after time. Now, one of the reasons this night is so special for me is because of my mother. Jean's always sitting right next to me every screening, every movie I watch. She also hated Ape. I must think the Academy Awards are important on some level since I made it a goal in life to see every movie ever nominated for one of those little golden boys. I'm currently still looking for an elusive 1,282 of them. Now, you may think that's a lot of movies, but you can't imagine how big that list was when I started. Back to this year's ceremony. As of right now, I've seen 42 of this year's 53 nominated films, or 79%. That's math. This will have an effect on a few categories, and some of these votes could potentially change once I see those remaining 11 films. But I'll deal with that if and when it transpires. For now, I'm looking forward to Sunday night as much as the next movie fan. And like that next movie fan, I've also filled out an Oscar ballot, which I'm about to reveal. As I've said before, and I will say again, I don't know anything about movies other than I love watching them, and I love the ones I love. It's really as simple as that. We're going to cover all 23 categories and reveal the official Cinema Wellman vote in each category. It's as if I was one of the 10,500 members who voted, only my vote doesn't count. I may vote a little differently than those thousands of members since I believe in spreading things around. 13 different films will be chosen, with no movie winning more than 5 awards or getting more than 5 votes from Cinema Wellman. I think that in this day and age of technology, you should be able to fill out your Oscar ballot online, send it into the Academy, who would then shoot it back to you and tell you how many members of the Academy had your exact ballot. Why can't that be done? They can do that. They just don't want to. Without any further ado or ennui, here is the official Cinema Wellman Oscar ballot. Awards will be presented here in the same order in which they will be handed out on Sunday night. We strive for authenticity here at Cinema Wellman. We will begin with the cartoon. They hate that term. Animated feature film. Nominees: The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. In an unprecedented move, even though this is only the second year we've done this, Cinema Wellman's vote is going to Miyazaki's The Boy and the Heron, even though I haven't even seen it. The reason for doing this is that I found the other 4 films to be meh, and I know that Miyazaki will deliver as he always does. It looks amazing. I can't wait to see it. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to The Boy and the Heron. Next, actor in a supporting role. Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction, Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling in Barbie, Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. Robert De Niro was brilliant in Martin Scorsese's Osage Nation epic. He hasn't been this evil on screen since Angel Heart when he played the devil. Now, no doubt that De Niro is one of the most accomplished actors in film history. This is his 9th acting nomination, and he's already won 2 Oscars for his performances in The Godfather Part 2 and Raging Bull. 2 reasons right there that our vote is going to Sterling K. Brown for his portrayal of Clifford Ellison, the seemingly wayward brother in American Fiction. Brown commands your attention in every scene in which he appears. You may know him from Hotel Artemis, Black Panther, or the television show This Is Us. I think you'll be seeing a lot more of him in the future. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction. Next up, actress in a supporting role. Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple, America Ferrera in Barbie, Jodie Foster in Nyad, Davine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers. I mentioned America Ferrera's performance in Barbie way back in September when I first talked about that movie and the impact that it had on me. I thought Ferrera's role was important, and her monologue about obstacles women face in life was amazing. Ferrera's already won an Emmy and a Golden Globe. She's even won a Teen Choice Award. Let's add Oscar to that list. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to America Ferrera in Barbie. Next, documentary feature film. We have Bobby Wine, The People's President, The Eternal Memory, Four Daughters, To Kill a Tiger, and 20 Days in Mariupol. I've yet to see To Kill a Tiger, so this may change. But our vote is going to a film that documents the story of Bobby Wine. IMDb tells us this. This film follows Ugandan opposition leader, activist, and musical star Bobby Wine. He used his music to fight the regime led by Yoweri Museveni, who led his country for 35 years. First of all, get yourself some term limits there, Uganda. This was an inspirational documentary that made me happy and angry at the same time. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Bobby Wine, The People's President. Next up, live-action short film. Nominees: The After, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. We are huge fans of Wes Anderson here at Cinema Wellman, so it's no surprise that we loved The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. Anderson directed a series of short films based on the writings of Roald Dahl, and they were all very good. Henry Sugar with Benedict Cumberbatch as the title character was the best of the bunch. If you're a fan of Wes Anderson, you need to see it along with the other short Roald Dahl films. You can find them on Netflix, and they're all worth a look. However, our vote goes to The After, a 19-minute film by Misan Harriman that absolutely destroyed me. IMDb describes it as follows. In this intense short film, a grieving rideshare driver picks up a passenger who helps him confront the past. You will be horrified to learn why this driver was grieving, and you'll be sobbing convulsively by the gesture of the passenger. I honestly could not stop crying. More genuine emotion in these 19 minutes than in the 354 minutes of those Avatar movies. This movie killed me, and I went back and watched it again. It was that powerful. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to The After. Next up is cinematography. Cinematographers for El Conde, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Now, I don't mean to hedge my bets here, but there were a handful of categories that were very close for me. Cinematography is one of those. There were some seriously talented shooters creating the images in these 5 films. Cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema's fourth collaboration with Christopher Nolan after Interstellar, Dunkirk, Tenet is shot in both color and black and white. I'm talking about Oppenheimer. The barren New Mexico desert is contrasted by the cramped and claustrophobic meeting rooms and labs that these scientists and government officials occupy. But in a close call, our vote is going to Rodrigo Prieto and Killers of the Flower Moon. Prieto's 5th film with director Martin Scorsese displays a bleak, harsh Osage County and Fairfax, Oklahoma. There is opulence as well once oil is discovered under Osage Nation land, and this is expertly shot within that harsh background. This is Prieto's 4th Oscar nomination, and we're hoping it will be his first win. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Rodrigo Prieto for Killers of the Flower Moon. Next category is makeup and hairstyling. Nominees are Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of the Snow. As I mentioned in our Best Picture Rundown episode, Yorgos Lanthimos' Poor Things was my favorite of the 10 Best Picture nominees. I didn't want to go overboard just because I liked it so much, but Poor Things did receive 4 of our votes from this little academy. The first one is for makeup and hairstyling. Emma Stone's unique and peculiar look is partially due to the people in makeup and hairstyling. But the most impressive work here is obviously done on Willem Dafoe as Dr. Godwin Baxter. He is quite the patchwork of spare parts in this movie. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Poor Things. Next is costume design. Nominees: Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. The costume design Oscar usually goes to a period piece. Many times, the costume design Oscar goes to a period piece that I despise, making it my second most hated Oscar category. There are 3 period pieces nominated this year, along with the Wherever and Whenever Poor Things takes place, and then there's the fictitious and heartwarmingly familiar Barbie Land. I realize what a nostalgia fest Barbie was for women of almost any age, but it also had the same effect on anyone who was a brother of one of those women. I remember my sister's Barbies in the little closet overstuffed with clothes and the playhouse and the accessories. Barbie brought all of that back clearly, even though I never really played with them all that much. The costume designers of Barbie brought every bit of that memory right back to me in vibrant colors, predominantly pink, of course. I rarely get predictions right. Sports, movies, doesn't matter. I'm rarely right. That's why I was so pleased about Barbie. Right after seeing it, I predicted that it would get Oscar nominations, and it got 8. How about that? In this category, the Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Barbie. Next is the international feature film. We have Yo Capitano, Perfect Days, Society of the Snow, The Teacher's Lounge, and The Zone of Interest. I don't have much to go on with this category, and I'm extremely confident with my vote. I'm not sure why, but 3 of these films aren't really available. I have access to quite a few platforms, and 3 of these are ghosts so far. I'm confident with my vote because I loved one of the 2 nominees that I did get a chance to screen. The Zone of Interest had quite an impact on me, and I hope it is recognized Sunday night with at least 1 win out of its 5 nominations. I think this category is its most realistic shot at an Oscar. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to The Zone of Interest. Next, we have documentary short film. Nominees are The ABCs of Book Banning, The Barber of Little Rock, Island in Between, The Last Repair Shop, and Nai Nai in Waipo. I've always been fascinated by the idea of censorship and the banning of books, so this was an easy choice for me. The ABCs of Book Banning takes quite a comprehensive look into the policy of banning books for only a 27-minute movie. I think everyone should see this. School boards, parents should see this and then go after these school boards. Many people would be shocked by the titles that have been challenged or banned in this country. Currently, mind you. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to The ABCs of Book Banning. Our next category is animated short film. The nominees: Letter to a Pig, 95 Senses, Our Uniform, Pachyderm, and War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko. The shorts are always difficult to track down this time of year. It usually takes a year before I can find all of them. I only saw one of these, so I'm really not sure what to do. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Pachyderm, the only one we saw. It was okay. Maybe we'll take the field in that one. Next up is production design. Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. I would really love to see Barbie take home the Oscar for production design, since that crew really brought Barbie Land to life, as I've already mentioned. Even the scale is correct, and everything was hand-painted, and all practical effects were used. Loved everything about Barbie, as I've made very clear. But our vote's going to go to Oppenheimer, after learning that Christopher Nolan gave up 30 days of shooting to free up money, which was then spent on production design. I'm rooting for Nolan to look like a genius with this Oscar. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Oppenheimer. Next category is original score. Nominees: American Fiction, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. I have to admit that it's very difficult for me to extract the score of a movie in order to evaluate it on its own. I'm just not good at that. So I'll just say that the music was exceptional in all of these movies, and I'm confident about that statement. But we here at Cinema Wellman are hoping for an Oscar for the late, great Robbie Robertson and his work on Killers of the Flower Moon. It was Robertson's 11th collaboration with director Martin Scorsese. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Robbie Robertson for Killers of the Flower Moon. Next up, we have visual effects. Nominees are The Creator, Godzilla Minus One, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and Napoleon. Come on now, you're not serious. Let's move on. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Godzilla Minus One. Come on, people. Next, original screenplay. The nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, and Past Lives. I've always claimed that it's difficult to have a really good movie without a quality script, and I'm not the only one who thinks that way. Writing is obviously extremely important when it comes to compelling storytelling. Even great actors can't make a shit script work. I think that the screenplay Oscars have been used in the past sometimes to reward an edgy film that isn't going to get much more love that evening. And it's also worth paying attention when a Best Picture nominee has only one other nomination. That other nomination usually represents all of that film's realistic hopes at an award. I couldn't vote for it for Best Picture, but I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to win something. The story was quite excellent and touching, and it made me cry, of course. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Past Lives. Next, we have adapted screenplay, and the nominees are American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. This is another close call. These are all tremendous. I think The Zone of Interest is deserving of this award, as well as the film that our vote will actually go to. I'm really interested in reading the novel on which Poor Things is based. I read that it's even more bizarre than the film, and that intrigues me. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Poor Things. Next up is sound. Nominees: The Creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest. This award is also difficult to choose since I saw some of these at home and some in the theater. The sound that this award is intended to go to clearly isn't sound that's heard through your television, even if you have a sweet surround system. We're going to go out on a limb and vote for a movie that made a lot of noise last summer. Atomic Bombs will do that. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Oppenheimer. Next, we have original song. The nominees are The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot, I'm Just Ken from Barbie, It Never Went Away from American Symphony, Wazahawi, I think that's how it's pronounced, and I'm sorry if it's not, from Killers of the Flower Moon, and What Was I Made For from Barbie. So here it is, the Academy Award category that has tormented me over the years. Many times attached to insipid, melodramatic crap. I've been burned so many times by the original song winner. Happy to say that I liked all of these films and all of these songs. The two from Barbie are delightful, but I kind of felt silly choosing either one of those over a culturally significant song that tells the story of a people. So the Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Wazahawi, A Song for My People from Killers of the Flower Moon. Next up, we have film editing. Nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. I was all set to vote for Scorsese's companion there, stalwart, Thelma Schoonmaker, with her 9 nominations and 3 wins, but I made a last-minute substitution and will go with Yorgos Mavroparadis since the editing on Poor Things had me mesmerized. Since I switched, Schoonmaker will, of course, now win the Oscar. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Yorgos Mavroparadis. Again, I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, for Poor Things. Next up, we have directing. Here are the nominees. Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, and Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. We have 2 directors earning their first Best Director Oscar nomination, 2 with their second, and then there's Martin Scorsese with his 10th. Now, I am not being ageist since I myself am also old, but I can't go with Marty here. He's already won 1 for the wrong movie, and I believe it's time to usher in the new guard. I love Yorgos Lanthimos, but I think I'll have to wait since I believe it's time Christopher Nolan wins one of these. I've been a fan of Nolan's for 24 years now, following Memento, Insomnia, The Prestige, the Dark Knight trilogy, Dunkirk, and those two movies I didn't understand a minute of. They all showcased Nolan's masterful skills as a director. Actors love working with him. He's figured out how to manage a huge production. And his films have that feel that only the great directors can create. I think this will be Nolan's first of multiple Oscars. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. Next, actor in a leading role, we have Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Coleman Domingo in Rustin, Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. There are a couple of veteran actors on this list. Paul Giamatti's been around the block a few times, and Bradley Cooper's performance in Maestro earned him his 5th acting Oscar nomination. The other 3 actors all earned their first Oscar nomination this year, and I'm going to go with one of the rookies. It's been almost 20 years since this actor caught my eye in 28 Days Later and Red Eye, which I love. I love Red Eye. He then played Scarecrow in 2 of the Dark Knight movies and was phenomenal as Thomas Shelby in the Netflix series Peaky Blinders. If you haven't seen that, get on that. I thought Cillian Murphy did an amazing job capturing the inner conflicts that J. Robert Oppenheimer dealt with during and after his work on the Manhattan Project. It's Murphy's most complex role to date, and I'm looking forward to more from him in the future. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer. Next, we have actress in a leading role. Annette Bening in Nyad, Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller in Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan in Maestro, and Emma Stone in Poor Things. 2 more rookies in this field, Gladstone and Hüller, along with actresses earning their 3rd, Mulligan, 4th, Stone, and 5th, Bening, Oscar nominations. After seeing Anatomy of a Fall and The Zone of Interest on the same day and marveling at Sandra Hüller's performances in both films while speaking 3 languages fluently, I was ready to vote for her in this category. But I know this is picky, but if Hüller was nominated for The Zone of Interest as opposed to Anatomy of a Fall, I think she would have gotten my vote. I think that performance was better. I'm currently looking through her filmography and adding movies to my queue. What does that mean, Chet? Of the 5 nominees, only Emma Stone has won previously. Annette Bening may be overdue and was amazing in Nyad, but our vote goes to Emma Stone as Bella Baxter in Poor Things. It's difficult to explain the character of Bella without spoiling some of this wonderful movie, so I won't even try. Suffice to say that Stone took on an extremely unorthodox, multi-layered character and absolutely crushed it. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Emma Stone for Poor Things. And last we have Best Picture. Here are your too many nominees. American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. If you were with us for episode 7 this season, you are familiar with our Best Picture rundown, where we ranked all 10 nominees. Of the 10 films, all of which I liked on some level, my favorite was Poor Things. But just because it was my favorite doesn't mean that it should be Best Picture. I think that the Best Picture of the year was Christopher Nolan's World War II epic biography, history lesson, Oppenheimer. I think the film succeeds on multiple levels, and Nolan has shown that he deserves to be mentioned along with some of the all-time great directors in film history. The Cinema Wellman Oscar vote goes to Oppenheimer. Well, that is a wrap from here at Cinema Wellman. You now know our choices for all 23 of the Oscars that will be given out Sunday night. If you plan on tuning in, we hope you enjoy the show, all 5 hours of it. We also hope that you return next week when Cinema Wellman salutes an actor who has made a living out of playing real people. He plays everyone. Until then, take care.